Shamil Gaziev just got absolutely fraud checked, and one of the most embarrassing performances I've ever seen in my entire life. You pick the guy for a round one knockout, and he throws in the towel, says he can't see in the fifth round. Let's talk about all of it. It wasn't in the fifth round, it was between the fourth and fifth round. Jairzinho Rozenstruik beats Shamil Gaziev 4 rounds to nothing. Completely dominates him. Especially the third and fourth round, he turned it up and was just basically styling on a Shamil Gaziev that wasn't moving at all. I mean, he was not moving his head. He could not get a takedown to save his life after the first 2 rounds. And piss poor, because I'm sick and tired of this. This is the fourth fucking main event pick I've gotten wrong in a row now. All right, and I'm sick of it. I mean, I should have known Gaziev was going to lose after he standing TKO'd Martin Budai. I should have known. Nonetheless, Jairzinho Rozenstruik looked good enough. It wasn't like the most stellar, outstanding performance I've ever seen, but he did what he had to do. And when you have a guy who's not going to move, or I guess throw output, I mean, you could do that all day, and he did that all day. God, dude, just a shit fight, too. It was not a very good fight, uneventful. I mean, Jairzinho was the only one really doing anything. The entire fight, Gaziev would shoot a takedown, miss. How can you not take down Jairzinho Rozenstruik multiple times? The guy's been taken down multiple times by many people throughout his entire career. And I figured Shamil would probably just TKO him on the ground because he can get him down there pretty easily, but he just didn't. And he could not finish a takedown. Just a bad performance. Just really bad. Brutal from Gaziev. That was one of the more brutal performances I've ever seen. I cannot believe I picked that guy to win the fight. Holy shit, dude. But Rozenstruik, yeah, he was the one doing most of the work early. I mean, they both were kind of trading early, but it was Jairzinho that was landing a lot more, and then the third and fourth, he just completely mollywopped him, took him out of there. He quit, so yeah, good performance by Rozenstruik. Piss fucking poor from Gaziev. I don't ever want to see him fight in the UFC ever again. That was really bad. Make him fight fucking Parker Porter for all I give a shit. I mean, but Parker Porter's the GOAT, though. I'm just kidding. But yeah, that was a bad fight. Another bad fight was Victor Petrino and Tyson Pedro. I mean, you are that massive and you cannot take him down until the third round? Like, that's what I thought he was going to be able to do the entire fight, is to work in the takedowns and just kind of ragdoll him on the ground, but he didn't want to do that. He waited till the third round to do that, so I was just a little confused there, a little annoyed too watching the fight. Because it felt like he was just letting Pedro into the fight, where if he took him to the ground, it was an easy win for him. So, got that pick right, though. Not 100% right, but yeah, I got that one right. Another one I got right was Muhammad Mokaev. I had him by decision initially, and then I picked him by a round 2 submission. Not another good performance by Mokaev. It wasn't that impressive. It just wasn't. It wasn't that impressive. I mean, it was just a stall fest. I mean, I knew Alex Perez had good takedown defense and had decent grappling to hang with Mokaev. But I just didn't think it would be that slow pace where these guys are sitting in a front head and Mokaev's on a knee, and that's half the fight, right? That was half the fight, is Alex Perez in a front head and Mokaev basically like in a squat on his knees. Not a very good fight, but I got that pick right, so yeah. And another one I got right was Umar Nurmagomedov beating Beksat Almakhan. And outside of only one moment was Umar in danger. Other than that, it was a clean sweep from Umar. And I kind of figured that would be, I mean, I said there was going to be zero wrestling, and I guess I was really wrong because that's all he did was wrestle. But I just figured he would knock him out in the first round, right? Like, keep showing levels. This time, he resorts to the wrestling. And, that's what Umar can do. He can do both. The striking was a little iffy today, which I was a little surprised about because it's looked good in the past. And Beksat, he looked tough, at least when it came to the stand-up game. He's got to work on that takedowns, the takedown defense. But I could see him, weaseling his way into the top 15. You never know. I mean, he looked decent enough, but he's got to work on the ground game. There's a lot to work on. I mean, he dropped Umar Nurmagomedov, so that's impressive enough. But also, the entire rest of the fight was just nothing. Also got that pick right. The one that I was really hyped about was Steve Erceg knocking out Matt Schnell, and I knew he was going to knock him out, and I was so hyped I got that one right. Matt Schnell just doesn't have a very good chin, unfortunately, and although Steve Erceg only had one knockout in his entire MMA career, I figured that at one point he would get one, right? And I figured, what other fight would he get one other than this one? A guy that's pretty chinny, who, you know what? I'll give him credit. He didn't look that bad in the striking. It's just the striking defense in the chin is just not good enough. It's just not good enough. And Steve Erceg keeps climbing the ladder of the flyweight division. I'm impressed. I want to see him fight. I don't know. That's a good question. Who do I want to see him fight? I could see him fighting, Brandon Moreno. That'd be a great fight. He called out Brandon Moreno. I would love to see that fight because Brandon Moreno, now he's lost 2 in a row now. So, and Steve Erceg's gonna be in the top 10. I could see them definitely making that matchup. If not, I could see him fighting Mateus Nicolau, or they wouldn't give him Muhammad Makayev, would they? I don't think they would. So Steve Erceg, he's got we'll see with him. I'm excited to see what he's got because he is a good striker. In his first fight, he looked really, really good against David Dvorak, and I was kind of impressed because at the time I thought Dvorak was just going to win that matchup. Didn't know much about Steve Erceg. Now we kind of know what Steve Erceg is, right? He's a pretty complete fighter. And, I was really happy that he won. So let's talk about the prelims. Eric Anders versus Jamie Pickett. Shitfest. Not going to talk about that one. It was uneventful. Jamie Pickett had a knockdown early in the fight, but other than that, Eric Anders just laid on top of him for 15 minutes, so that was awesome to watch. Vinicius Oliveira and Bernardo Sopage. Holy shit, dude. That was one of the craziest knockouts I think I've ever seen in my entire life. He completely flatline KO'd him with the flying knee. If you guys have a chance to rewatch that, rewatch it because that is a sick KO. And Sopage almost finished him in the second. This wasn't like Oliveira dominating the entire fight. And I didn't pick this fight, but I'll just say I went with Oliveira because I did for the other fight. And I didn't know much about Sopage. I kind of just left it. But Sopage, he looked good early. And then Oliveira he came back in the second round. And he was just so much bigger. I think that's what ultimately it came down to. And also it being on short notice. But he looked massive. He might be the biggest bantamweight in the entire UFC. He's 5'9" and that built. He should be a featherweight, realistically. He's got a featherweight frame. I'm guessing in his career he's probably going to move up to featherweight sometime, right? Because he's fucking big for bantamweight. I don't know how much weight cutting, how much it depletes his weight cutting when he goes down to 35. But nonetheless, that was a great fight. That was probably the best fight on this card. 2 guys just going back and forth, and I was really, really impressed with Sopage and his ability to work his striking, and I was also impressed with Vinicius Oliveira to come back from almost being finished. So that was a really good fight. A fight that, oh my god, dude. I should have picked Ayman Zahabi to beat Javid Basharat, dude. I was thinking about it the entire time, and I said it on the video. I was like, I was so close to picking him because it was like, okay, Javid Basharat just has no power, and you don't really have to threaten anything in his game outside of the wrestling. But also, he's only going to threaten you by taking you down. He's not going to hold you down. So, and Ayman Zahabi does have good takedown defense. We know that. So, and also the striking, he looked cleaner in the second and third round. Basharat wasn't landing much, right? And Zahabi was landing good low kicks and just kind of beating him overall in the striking game. And I really wish I picked him. But nonetheless, I got that pick wrong. Zahabi looked good, and Basharat did not. We kind of figured Basharat, he was a little overrated coming in this fight. Let's all be real here. He was a little bit overrated. Had 0 finishes. Didn't show potential to finish any fight. So, yeah. Zahabi, good win. Christian Leroy Duncan completely steamrolls Claudio Ribera. I mean, I didn't realize he took that big of a step in skill gap. I mean, I knew he beat Dennis Tululin pretty good, and I watched that fight coming into this, and I was, Dennis Tululin isn't that good, right? People like to say he's decent. Like, oh, if you beat Dennis Tululin, I mean, you might not be that bad. It's Dennis Tululin, right? Let's not beat around the bush with that guy. But Christian Leroy Duncan, holy shit, dude. He probably impressed me the most out of anyone on this card, just because he used the grappling so effortlessly. And this guy is a flashy striker. Who I call him the Apex Superstar because he does all the flashy techniques, but not really good enough to become a top guy. Who knows now? Who knows? Because, I mean, showing that complete game that he showed today, I can take out really anyone in the middleweight division. So I'm impressed by Christian Leroy Duncan. I'm excited to see what they do with him. I don't know who they're going to give him next. I mean, Joe Pyfer? That'd be a fun match. Joe Pyfer. Joe Pyfer. Yeah, so that was a good fight. Ludovic Klein, just, oh my God. He also steamrolled AJ Cunningham. There's a lot of steamrollings going on tonight. And Ludovic Klein absolutely steamrolled AJ Cunningham. His boxing and his kickboxing just looked perfect tonight. I mean, we knew AJ Cunningham was coming in on a couple of days' notice. But nonetheless, this doesn't take away from Ludovic Klein's performance. He looked really sharp in the striking and just put him away early, so I was impressed with that. The first fight of the night, Abdul Karim Al Sawadi loses to Loic Rabovich. Or Rad Zahabov. Whatever his name is. You know what I'm talking about. I knew he was imposing coming into this fight. I knew when you watch him, he only really looked really bad against Raumbechki, and Raumbechki is a fucking monster. So that's nothing to look away from. He was just more powerful. That's all it was. And that when I was writing down notes for this fight, that was something that I brought up. I was like, okay, he actually might be the more physically imposing guy, and that could be an advantage. But I just thought Kareem would look a little bit better in the striking and just kind of beat him, all around. But that just didn't happen. He TKOs him in the third round. And yeah, that was a good win from Loic. Not that great of a card. It was starting to get good with the Vinicius Oliveira knockout, and then fucking Eric Anders stunk it up. Steve Erceg did good, and then just a stink fest all the way up after that. Steve Erceg, that fight was the last good fight on the card. But yeah, if you like this video, please like and subscribe and comment down some video ideas I should do below. UFC 299 is next week, and I'm so fucking hyped for that card. It's going to be a really good card. So yeah, till next time, peace.